I was born Barbara Ann Kukas. I am now Barbara Kratchman. I am 82 years old. I can hardly believe it. I was born in Detroit, and I'm still a Detroiter, and I love it. My mother was a big influence in my life. She was a passionate person. I think I've got that gene in me, too. My childhood was an idyllic time. It was a formative experience for me to really know what Judaism was and how it's in your blood and in your bones. And if I fast forward, when I was a freshman in Ann Arbor, John Kennedy was on the steps of the Union the night that he talked about the Peace Corps. And that's what really sparked my interest in how my life developed after that. My first real job in the political world was for Senator Jacob Javits. That was a thrill of a lifetime. And then when I got back to Detroit, I got a telephone call from an old friend, Doug Ross. When he told me he was going to run for the Michigan Senate, I said, okay, I'm in. And we won. And it was a great time in my life where I really got into it hook, line, and sinker, and I never got out of it. I moved to Detroit in the early 70s, and the first thing I did was with the Jewish Book Fair. One of the things that I was involved with early on was a program we started which was called The Artists in the School, and it turned out to be a very meaningful experience for all of the artists. My husband, Michael, was the president of Kadima, and I said, I'll help you start a real arts education program. It's called Creative Expressions. This program has blossomed today, and it is magnificent. So those are the really standout experiences for my volunteer work and for my Jewish communal work as well. But if someone asks me what I'm most proud of, I'm most proud of my children and my grandchildren. They know where they're going, and they're good people in their hearts. I knew Michael a little bit when he was in law school, but I met him later on in life, and we've had a wonderful, beautiful marriage for 30-some years now. And my kids love him, and I love his kids. It's a wonderful big family. As far as my Jewish life goes, and my life in general has to do with door l'dor, from generation to generation, which is something that's very meaningful to me. I came from it, and I hope I have turned that over to my children and to my grandchildren. The beauty of being older is that very often you lose some of your fear. Today, don't tell me I can't do something. I love a challenge. If you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to show you that I can do it.
My name is Mark Schlussel. I'm 84 years old. I grew up in Detroit, and I still live in the Detroit area. My dad became a leader in the community. He was one of the early presidents of what was the Jewish Community Council. And my mother was very active in Jewish National Fund. They spent their time focusing us on our values. So we were given a very strong Jewish background and education, both in the house and at school. My first real job is I taught Hebrew school at B'nai David while I was in college. And that was really an enriching experience in and of itself. Rosie's older sister, Adria, and I were classmates at Mumford High School. And I saw her sister, and I thought she was kind of cute. And I asked her if she'd tell her that I was going to call, and I did. So then we started going out. So look, we've been married, thank God, 61 years. A long marriage is a gift of God, in my opinion. I graduated from the University of Michigan Law School in 1965, and I was the first clerk to the Chief Judge of the Court of Appeals. And working for the Chief Judge was an extraordinary experience. After that, I was the law clerk for a little over a year. And then I went to work at a law firm in Detroit. And then we started our own law firm, Schlussel Lifton. It was fun. We grew it to a significant number of lawyers, and we merged with Miller Canfield. I continued to practice law until I went into a healthcare venture because I got involved in healthcare law. You need to stay true to your values, and being a Jew and maintaining your Jewishness is a privilege. So therefore, I got involved in Federation, and I sat on committees. And Federation was an extraordinary experience for me. I'm the first Orthodox Jew who has ever been a president of a Federation in Detroit, and that was in 1989. I ended up in my practice, I did a lot of healthcare work. I ended up as the chairman of the board of Sinai Hospital at the time when we sold Sinai Hospital to the Detroit Medical Center. I have 4 children and 12 grandchildren. Our history of the last 3,000 years is something of importance. I view myself as a link in that chain, and I would say to my children and my grandchildren, I want you to make sure that you're part of that chain so that our history can continue.
I'm Deede Auster. I'm 81 years old. I was born in Detroit, lived there most of our lives. Our household was difficult, but I was very close with my brother, and we were the pair that survived our parents. I went to Tamarack, and that's where I really picked up my Judaism. Camp Tamarack was a good means for me to learn that I was a person, that I could do things and meet people. There wasn't a lot of money in our household. I worked all the way through Mumford, and I went right from there to working at Dearborn Medical Center as a file clerk. But I got myself involved in BBG, and I was what they call a MIT mother. Then I got a 4-year scholarship to Michigan as a med tech program. My husband I met in college. Our parents fixed us up. We started dating almost immediately. He was a doctor, so all our classes were pretty much together. It was a nice way to go to school. He had the same values I have. We're almost married 60 years. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. I am a bacteriologist. When I retired, I started working at Project Hesed. Then I got involved with National Council. I was the day chair for Bookstock. I was the chairman for the Backpack Project. I'm a cancer survivor, and I was on the board there. And I'm also heavily now involved with Jewish Historical and JARC, and now I'm going to work here. I like keeping busy. I think that's helped me keep young. I'm usually the one that has all the holidays with lots of people. My 3 kids have 2 children each. They're wonderful. They're special. It's our legacy. I love seeing them together, and it makes me very happy. My mother-in-law taught me what's important. She was one spicy lady, and I loved her. When my brother passed away, his wife died 8 years later from leukemia. I took over with my nieces. We're very close. I adore them. They're my other children. It's been good to see how they turned out. Do the right thing and you'll never be sorry. Always look out for each other. Family comes first, by far.
My name is Michael Serling. I'm 80 years old. I was born and raised in Detroit. When I think of my childhood, I think of the optimism in the world at the time. It was the end of the war. The economy got better and people had jobs, and it was a good era to be Jewish. And later on, I got into Michigan State. I got a teaching certificate, and I also got into law school. So I taught math and history while I went to law school at night. So it was a busy time, but I enjoyed teaching very much. Now that was the Vietnam era, and having the teaching certificate gave me a deferment. I traveled around, I met interesting people, I loved it, and I went to Greece and I saw a sign and it said, Athens, Tel Aviv, $35. I was on that plane, and that opened a whole new world to me. meeting relatives that had barely gotten out of the Holocaust. It was an amazing experience. Changed my life. And when I came back from Israel in '68, I went on a blind date, and that was Elaine. She was a folk singer. I fell in love with her. We got married after 9 months in June of '69. In '71, we moved to Israel for a year. We came home to Detroit in the fall, and by the time I was into my mid to late 30s, I had developed an unbelievable specialty, and I built an entire law firm around asbestos work. Jewish studies and Israel studies at MSU is always a winner. Now we have 6 core positions, full-time professors, a full-time director, a study abroad Israel program. They've done an amazing job with Jewish students at MSU. The work we've done with Tamarack, incredible Israeli camper program. It's a passion that just makes our lives so complete. I created a program in the 90s with one of our Jewish senior life people, Chuck Domstein. It was a multi-ethnic teen dialogue. We called it Dream Dialogue. Elaine and I are married 55 years, and I have 2 children, and I have 4 lovely grandchildren. Being with the grandkids together is just a joy beyond belief. We see each other often. That is a very enriching part of our lives, to be with them, to try and teach them things, to have fun with them, and to stay close with our kids. To be engaged and involved with the work that you're promoting, not just with financial support. It makes your life so much brighter and adds so much depth to your life.
My name is Nancy Louise Jacobson, and I'm 84. I was born in Benton Harbor, which is a small town that's right across the lake from Chicago. The number of Jewish families tops 100, and my father and my mother, with 5 other couples, started a temple. And I to this day, love being Jewish. I have one sister, Marilyn, and she was at Michigan State, so of course I wanted to go to Michigan State too. Then I met Joey at a wedding. A girlfriend of mine married a boyfriend of his. We were married the following August. The first year, I was teaching sophomore, junior, senior English. I have to admit, some of the boys at the school were probably a year younger than I was. I really enjoyed teaching, but it was a little bit tough. Then when I was pregnant with Howard, I would be resting on the couch, and Joey's old friends and my friend was very active in Federation. She would kind of drag me, and you know what, I have loved being involved. Then there's JARC. They have just gone on to do wonderful, really great things and involve the community in so many of them. And then there's Israel Bonds, which I thought the staff was wonderful, and I enjoyed working and appreciated being honored. Federation for me was just a wonderful organization where I found the women were committed to Jewish causes and being Jewish, and that was something just appealed to me, whether it was working locally in Detroit or Israel. I'll tell you, I worked with such a wonderful group of women. I think one thing that's very important about women's philanthropy, it gives women a chance to voice their opinions. There's just such a depth to their involvement and to caring and to being a good Jew and to making Israel a part of our lives. And to this day, I suggest to every parent, take your kids to Israel because it's an eye-opener. They see so much of the world, and what could be better to identify with Israel? Talk about my grandkids, absolutely. Well, first of all, I should start with our sons. Howard and David, they're married to lovely girls. We have our 6 wonderful granddaughters, and it means the world to me to have a family that is loving and kind. To me, it's beautiful to see, and I admire it. I've learned about myself that I value kindness and being a loving person and life and liberty. Lead a good life and lead a Jewish life. That, I think, is the key to the best life can offer.
My name is Michael Maddin, nicknamed Mickey, and I'm 85 years old today. I was born in Detroit and grew up in Detroit in the Russell Woods neighborhood, which as a child I found the neighborhood wonderful. We were on the street after school playing ball or doing whatever we did until dinner time. I had a paper route from 11 to 14 years of age. I'm grateful for that experience because it helped me in every way later in life. The heaviest influence early on were my parents. I was bar mitzvahed in April of 1953. I was on my way to becoming a man. So fond memories of all of that, and then moved up to Ann Arbor for 4 years there. Lots of great friends. Wound up taking an elective called real estate law, which really piqued my interest into something that I did for almost 58 years after I graduated law school. My lovely wife, Donna, and I met the day of my last final exam in law school. We wound up talking for 3 hours, and it was my worst grade in law school. We've been married now, it's over 58 years, and have 4 wonderful kids, have gone on to become successful in what they wanted to do, and have 4 beautiful grandchildren. Other than obviously the marriage and the family that we've raised, I'm proud that I practiced law with my father for 18 years. We did a little merger with another small firm, which became what is now Maddin Hauser, with a culture that very much I helped create. In terms of volunteer activities, it was usually either reading, seeing something, or somebody calling me. I became involved in the junior division and became its president in 1971. And from there became involved with the United Jewish Foundation, which is the partner of the Federation, and I was president there. I also became involved with the Jewish Fund and eventually became its chair. Recently, I was involved with the Michigan Jewish Historical Society and became that president. Camp Tamarack always interested me, so I was on the board for years, and then I became president in the 80s. Turned out that my father was president in the 50s. Our kids and grandkids have all gone to Camp Tamarack. In terms of what I've learned, I would say the busier you are, the better you are. Saying yes is better than saying no, and if it's a worthy cause, the yes can be as simple as supporting somebody who's trying to do something important. I hope I'm remembered as a good person who cared, who contributed to the betterment of our society, and my glass is half full.
My name is Rachel Yoskowitz. I'm 81 years old. I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and lived there the first 8 years of my life. Zadie and my single aunt lived downstairs and we lived upstairs, so we were always together for Shabbat. But when I was 8, we moved to LA, and we were very active in the temple and the synagogue youth group. I was a Girl Scout and just did all the things that California kids do growing up there. My father died suddenly when I was 13, and my mother decided she wanted to be near family, so we left LA and moved to Baltimore. After high school, I went to the Sinai Hospital School of Nursing. Many years later, I went back to school and got my master's. My husband was a young rabbi just finishing the army, and he had accepted his first position as an assistant rabbi at Temple Beth El in Baltimore, and I was curious as to who this young rabbi was. And after our conversation, it was a really short conversation, I got home that night, my phone was ringing. We had our first date November 4th, and we got engaged just 3 weeks later, and we were married on February 11th. And when my husband was called to serve at Bet Achim, we came to Detroit. I'm so blessed to have 6 such wonderful kids, 3 by birth and 3 by marriage, not to mention the 8 beautiful grandchildren who have come into our family. We're so proud of their uniqueness and what they are doing in their own lives. Israel is my passion. My second passion is helping people. I'm proudest about Project Chesed, where the Jewish community came together 700 doctors volunteered to see pro bono patients, and together in 2010 alone, they donated $7 million in care to help 1,300 vulnerable members of the Jewish community. As a founding faculty member of the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, I had the assignment of setting up a community service program. I also take great pride in having been able to volunteer just this past year for the National Bone Marrow Donation Registry. It's been a long journey. God sent me to my husband for a reason, and with all of his wonderful encouragement and support, to do meaningful things, to help people. And hopefully, in the time God has left for me, I hope I'll be able to continue to help people and make a difference for our family and for others.
My name is Neil Satovsky. I'm 80 years old. I was born in Detroit and raised in Detroit. I grew up with my grandparents for the first 8 years of my life. It was really a great experience. My grandfather bought me a Kiddush book for Shabbat. Every Friday night we'd have the family over, and it was chaos. We loved it. And you just grow up seeing your role models involved in things. So that kind of instilled to me being Jewish, doing Jewish things. I went to University of Michigan and met Joni, and things took off from there. Meeting Joni was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. She's always been a tremendous influence in my life. She motivates me. So I went to work, became a CPA for 68 to 75, and then came to a fork in the road. I went back into the family building business. I did that from 75 until just recently retired. Joni was a teacher for a few years. Brian was born. Then my daughter, Nikki. We had a great time growing up. Joni's always been an educator, and I've always believed in education. You always keep learning. For me, it's been learning Torah. Over the years, I've been involved in the community in a lot of different ways. Started off with the Federation, Junior Division, Jewish Home for the Aged, the Jewish Vocational Service, always involved at the Congregation Shar Tzedek, Yeshiva Gedola, Hillel of Metro Detroit. I think one of my favorite activities for Jewish Senior Life was Schlussel camp for the seniors. We'd take the seniors out on a rowboat, and I brought my fishing rods. We had a good time. I've stayed on the committee for 8 over 80 since the beginning because it just represents honoring the people that form us. There's an expression in the Torah called V'hadarta Pnei Zakein, and it's honoring older people. Try to live by the 5th commandment, honor your parents. I am most proud of the way my children and grandchildren have grown up, and they've been mensches. The greatest influence on me has been my father because I worked with him. I saw him put on tefillin every morning, go to shul. It was obviously a big influence on being Jewish, living Jewish, but it was always in me to learn more. So I had a journey, so to speak. Giving is a great feeling when you put a smile on someone's face, when you help Jews all over the world. You help a child catch a fish. It's just, that's the Jewish way. It's what it's all about. I probably would want people to remember me as a mensch, a guy that loved being with people, loved to get involved in the community, loved fishing. My advice to the younger generation is live Jewishly, be confident but humble when you deal with people. Be a mensch, do good deeds.
Trust your instincts. Do what you want to do, not what you think others expect you to do. Do it because it's the right thing for you and it's the right thing for your community.
Listen to people. Try to figure out what's important to them and see if you can work it out.
I think you have to be anchored in your values. People who are true to themselves, I think, have a much easier time maintaining their own value system in life.
Try things that you don't think you like. The more you do, the more you'll become better at what you could do in the future.
Stay involved. No matter what's going on in your life, stay involved. Keep doing what you do.
Make wise decisions, lead a good life, and lead a Jewish life. That, I think, is the key to the best life can offer.
Reach for the stars. If you don't try, you'll never know what you can achieve. So strive and soar.